Well, good morning, and thank you for your patience as we work out our technical difficulties. Let's begin with a word of prayer. Almighty God, with whom still live the spirits of those who die in the Lord, and with whom the souls of the faithful are in joy and felicity, we give you heartfelt thanks for the good examples of all your servants who have finished their course in faith, now find rest and refreshment. May we, with all who have died in the true faith of your holy name, have perfect fulfillment and bliss in your eternal and everlasting glory. Through Jesus Christ our Lord.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Looks like we're almost there. We have a screen, we just needed to unlock it.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties here. It was easier to do the GPR on the cemetery, I think, than to get my computer hooked up here today. But thank you for coming to hear what's been going on at the historic St. James Cemetery, what we're finding there. How many of you have actually been to the cemetery, been by it? Good. Then you know as much as we did when we started out. It was a big half acre of green grass and ancient monuments, and we didn't know what was there until 2011, when the first cemetery committee went to work to build a columbarium, as well as investigate what was going on. And they did a rudimentary GPR, which showed that, yes, maybe there were some bodies in that green grass behind all the monuments, but where they were, we had no idea. So here we are in 2024, the new cemetery committee, and our first great step forward was to have the town of Leesburg give us a grant, $25,000 grant, to do the ground penetrating radar study and get to work on the cemetery. Our vision has always been not only to preserve the 191 standing monuments and beautify the grounds, and it's more than the recognition of hundreds we've discovered are buried in our sacred land. You'll hear about that. But what we hope is that with these steps and what's to come, we'll have a reckoning of our past and a healing bridge to all the people in Loudoun County. I will say that the town council, when we went to talk to them about what's happening, seemed very, very pleased with our work, and we should all be proud that we have this microcosm of Leesburg right in our own land. So, slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. So here's what we've done so far. We have got this new highly technical ground penetrating radar study. We hired a very respected conservationist who did a detailed assessment of every one of the 191 monuments out there and gave us ideas for storing them or cleaning them or fixing them. And we have a standing memorial begun. The column is built and it has a table on top that's waiting for a bronze plaque with the words of memorial for all the people. We have one major monument repaired and several more scheduled to be finished in the next month or so. We have a lovely landscaping concept, which you'll see in a minute. And we believe that all these factors will lead us to have our cemetery recognized as a significant historic site for Leesburg. Next slide. The next person.
Sorry. I'm sitting back here.
No.
Okay,
So the ground penetrating radar shows what we already knew to be true by sight alone. What we suspected is that the whole area at the back of the cemetery was filled with unmarked burials. Just walking back there told us that the ground had been disturbed. Our question was, were people buried here that we didn't know about? Typically during the mid-1800s, early to mid-1800s, blacks, and whether they were free or enslaved, would only be buried at the back of the cemetery. Then we received the results of the full geophysical survey. Next slide. To say we were stunned would be an understatement. The orange areas, all of those orange areas throughout the cemetery, represent unmarked burials. The dotted lines areas represent probable grave shafts and probable grave cuts. Let that sink in. How many are unmarked? The number of unmarked graves is astounding and exists throughout the cemetery, but most pronounced in the back. There are 191 graves marked and at least 200 or more unmarked. We have our work cut out for us. Next slide.
This is a slide that reminds us of the depth and of our conservation study report. It's about 30 pages long. We have copies if you ever want to see it. And it has every single grave photographed and assessed for how it could be repaired. And then ranked by which ones should be done first because they're in the worst shape. So that was why we worked on the Emily McCarthy one, for instance, because it was one of the most badly damaged and actually was unsafe. Some groundhog had a good time and collapsed. So that's what we have, and we've got 5 now being repaired, but one is. Also, we estimated the cost repairing for each, which added up to our shock to about $87,000. So we knew we had a lot to be done. Next slide.
So the Emily Mason McCarty tomb was our first tomb to be repaired. Not only was our attempt to preserve the space an eyesore for us and for the town, it was potentially unsafe for anyone exploring our cemetery. It's now been repaired and is much better, more stable. We have 4 more tombstones contracted to be for repairs to be completed by the end of October of this year. Next slide. Through exhaustive research, mostly by Tamsin, but also by myself, we have found that our cemetery holds war veterans from the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, and the Mexican-American War, not including those in the Columbarium. Specifically, Hugh Douglas, a Revolutionary War veteran, served as an officer in the 1st Battalion, 56th Regiment for the Loudoun County Militia, as well as in the U.S. Army. He was also appointed Brigadier General of the Virginia Militia in 1810. We believe Nicholas Klein, also a Revolutionary War veteran, is in our cemetery, although his tombstone is no longer there. Samuel Dawson served in the Dragoons during the War of 1812. His tombstone bears a medallion recognizing his service. Stevens Mason, son of Armistead Thompson Mason, is also in our cemetery. He served in the Mexican-American War as a captain in the U.S. Army. During a battle in 1847, a cannonball tore off his lower leg and resulted in blood poisoning and death. There are also many tradespeople, slaves, free blacks, a mailman, a florist, lawyers, and many town leaders creating a microcosm of 18th and 19th century Leesburg and Loudoun County. This is truly a historical site of significance. With the involvement of the Sons of the American Revolution, we hope to have markers for many of our war veterans soon.
Slide. So one of the exciting possibilities which the GPR revealed is that we actually have what looks like tablets and headstones, which had been covered over with turf. Basically, the grass has grown over them. And you can see the pink spots there. Those are what they believe are tablets or headstones. But basically, the whole graveyard got so overgrown by the beginning of the 20th century that you couldn't actually see the stones and tablets. So they described the growth as looking like giant vines coming over the whole area. But there's a possibility, if we look 6 inches under this turf, that we could find gravestone of Armstead Thompson Mason. He was Virginia's youngest state senator, and he was a general of 1812. Or one of the other possibilities around his first wife's tablet, which is in grey in the middle, her father, Brigadier General Thomas Parker, who fought in the Revolutionary War, Whiskey Rebellion, and 1812. He's buried in this graveyard because he wanted to be with his daughter. So if anyone's been out to Shenandoah campus at Cool Spring, used to be a golf course, no? Yeah, that was his home. We built Soldiers Retreat out there. Slide.
Slide.
Great. So one thing you'll have seen in that GPR map is dotted lines that represent where grave shafts and cuts were made. You might be wondering, are there actually bodies in these areas where the graves were cut? And the thing is, the quality of the soil in that cemetery, if you have a shroud burial without a coffin or a tomb and you put someone in the ground like that, it breaks down pretty rapidly. So those people, the physical evidence of them are gone. What we have left is the evidence that the ground was cut and disturbed, basically in grave-shaped holes. Now, it was one of the primary objectives of that first St. James Committee. They set out to find out if there were enslaved people buried in the back of the churchyard. Our archival records did confirm this, as you can tell them. Often the names and families of these individuals were not recorded. So you can see the top line, a little coloured child, son of Tom, belonging to Dr. Claggett, was buried in St. James Cemetery. So we don't know his name, and honestly, we probably won't. I've been through the Claggett papers at 3 different repositories, and I wasn't able to find that out. But there were actually 4 headstones in the back row there that belonged, one of them belonged to a person enslaved by the Addy family, our rector and his wife. 2 of them were free African Americans who attended our church. And going through the records, what we can see is that black folks received the sacraments in this church. They were baptized, they were confirmed, and they were buried according to Episcopal rites. I've also gone through a lot of diaries and letters which reveal things like Aunt Rachel died at Harrison Hall, was buried in our cemetery. This was the text that the vicar preached on. So we can get a lot more personal details about those people through trawling through the records. Slide. So we do have one surviving fieldstone, which is right over by the fence. I think there were probably many more fieldstones back there, but I found vestry records from 1904 which say we have cleared all stones out of the back of the old cemetery plot. And I think when they took the undergrowth out, they just took those stones out. But we've got one survivor here, nothing in the grave towards the back. And I wanted to include this quote here because some of you might be thinking, well, if we had a Black Episcopal congregation, where did they go? This is an oral history which a Leesburg native called John Estevery gave, and he was born 1888. So he's talking about what he remembers of the late 19th century. He says, the main thing, talking about his own family, they were all church-going people, and pretty much all of them went up to the Old Stone Episcopal Church. The people they belonged to was Episcopalian. It was after the war or during the war or something when they went to church there. They built this church down here, Mount Zion. The older family went to the Episcopal, and the younger people they take to other churches. So I found in the records John's great-grandmother Caroline, who's part Native American, was worshiping at that church. His grandmother, Esther, who lived at the Laurel Brigade Inn, she was baptized in the church, and she came back after emancipation. She was confirmed there. And she and her brother brought their children back to St. James to be baptized, including John Easterberry's mother, Caroline. But when Esther dies, having spent most of her life with the Episcopal Church, she gets buried by Mount Zion. And what happened to this family is a microcosm of what happened to Episcopal churches across the South. I think during Reconstruction, over 90% of Black Episcopalians across the South went to other churches. So basically, I'm quite excited that Mount Zion Methodist Church wants to partner with us for our All Saints commemoration, because I think most people know that their church is connected to the Old Stone Methodist Church. I'm not sure that people know that actually that's where our families wound up to. So there's an old connection there, and I am really happy that they have shown interest in being part of the bulb planting and part of the commemorations. All right. So generally speaking, when we talk about the cemetery, people have traditionally mentioned the big, powerful families buried there. You've got the Lees, the Masons, as in George Mason. You've got Cowles and Harrisons who were buried in there, and these were very important politicians, generals, lawyers. They shaped a lot of the society out here. But there were also working class families, immigrant families who belonged to St. James in this period. So I wanted to talk about Mary Lack as an example. She's the daughter of a Scotswoman and an Englishman who came out here to Virginia to make a better life. She's their only child, and we actually know a lot about her, far more than we do most of the other children buried in that cemetery. And there are a lot of them, because she kept a diary when she was 16. And she recorded her chores and her efforts to make bread, which of course didn't go well. She also recorded that she met a young Mississippi soldier at St. James while she was there for a service. They became secretly engaged. And she wrote about what it was like living in an occupied city, with fortifications going up and armies blowing into town and out again. So it's a really interesting diary, but she died at age 18. And they buried her in the cemetery, and you can see that her tablet was snapped off, that the rods have given way. And this is one of the ones we're hoping to restore. Slide. Sorry, that's okay. And I don't know if you can make out this map, it's a little blurrier, but you can see this here is where Mary's parents had their nursery garden. Her mother was in charge of flowers. And so they're, roughly the nursery is where Moulds Acre High is today. And you can see they lived right there. And our church is up here. So Mary talks about sitting out to go to church and then meeting a friend, getting distracted, going to make house calls and shopping instead. But what I wanted to emphasize is that all the people buried in this churchyard, they were local. They lived in this town and they worked in this town. And this cemetery's history is also this town's history. It's our church's history, and it's also Loudon's history. And the African American individuals buried in this churchyard were people who lived and worked in the big houses right here in town. So we know, for example, that the Harrisons of Harrison Hall buried 3 of the were enslaved in the back of this graveyard, though there are markers for none of them. So, there you go.
Slide. So as you can tell, we have many stories to tell that are coming from the cemetery. There are stories all around the room on these signs that Tamsin and Stacy have researched, and we're searching for more. And we won't stop. We're also reaching out to other groups to get information. I went yesterday to Oatlands to a Descendants Day there, where there were descendants from Mount Pelear, Oatlands, Mount Vernon, and Belle Grove, and to see how these families have come together, white and black members sometimes, made me realize that we don't have a building, but we have a cemetery full of people from whom we might be able to reach out to descendants. So, and we have Jim Roberts on our committee who is on the Abolish Black History Committee. And he's made contact with Mount Zion, and we hope to get them to help us with our landscaping in the fall. Slide. So our plans have shifted. We're not going to put benches and plants on top of bodies. We know where they are now, so we do hope to put benches and flowering trees around Columbarium, which is in the footprint of the old church. We know there are no bodies there. And we will remember and honor them with signs. We're working on the first big memorial one that's be right in the gate when you come in, that will bless and loving memory of all people buried there. But we'll have to have other historic signs to tell our story. And you'll see soon we're going to plant bulbs, working with St. Zion Cove, low flowering spring bulbs in the back where the unmarked graves are in the shape of a cross, but we'll talk about that soon. Okay, next slide. There it is, okay. This is Sandy Wilson's concept for landscaping. And as you can see, Columbarium is with the circle there. And we'll have several flowering trees to give shade, because everyone complains about how exposed they are there. We want this to be a contemplative place. We're going to put benches around the Columbarium too, so that people can come out of the courthouse or walking by and sit down and eat their lunch or think about their case in the court next door, or say a prayer to life. Then over here on the grass is Sandy's most brilliant suggestion of this memory meadow, with low flowering bulbs in the shape of a cross eventually, and they can be mowed down after they finish blooming, so it will be low maintenance. But every spring, you can just imagine the beauty of flowers coming up where people were once forgotten. So that's what we're up to next. Next slide. So, of course, we have to mention that we have a big nut to crack with them to get funds to fix all the memorials and create these memorial signs and to share the space with the community. So we're going to have an All Souls Day service November 1st, right after church. We'll walk down there and we'll read the names of all the people we know, the way we did at the first one in 2024. And we'll also plant the bulbs, we hope. We're probably going to just do a border around the cross to get started, to make sure that this works. And then another year we'll plant more bulbs. But this is a multi-year gift to the County of Loudoun and the City of Leesburg. It will be a real community bridge, I think, and make us show that we care about our community. So, are there questions? Yes.
So the permits, do you need permits from the town to do any of this stuff?
No, it's our land.
Okay,
And we're not, I mean, the town seems to be very in favor of it.
yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
great.
They were, when we gave our presentation. In fact, Mayor Berg said, "Oh, how interesting. This is the first time someone has come here to tell us what they did with their money, with their money in the bank." So I think we're in good graces. If you know any of the town's council people, be sure to put in a plug for us. And we haven't really been to the county yet, although Tom Horn is approaching them to see if we can use the space between the new courthouse and the cemetery as a path that's already there, to be, instead of having to build one through the cemetery, which is very irregular and difficult to do, although Art would disagree, he's back there. Art is designing our monument. We'll see if the town would ease that path to us, so people could, if they had a wheelchair or difficulty walking, could just walk straight down to the back part where the flowers will be and this Black History marker. Yes, Stephanie?
Thanks for the presentation, first of all. You mentioned building bridges and the potential partnership with Mount Zion, and I
It's very rudimentary at this point. I think Jim Roberts is our go-to man for that. We did invite them to come to our first All Souls Day, and they apparently, Pastor Page is very interested in this project and has indicated to Jim that they would like to help us plant bulbs and be involved in this. And I know Jim Roberts himself is very excited about this project. He gets some. So he'll use our link. And I did go yesterday to the Oakland's program, Justice for All, of all those descendants. And I feel like Loudoun County, if we could put the word out in the newspaper, get some publicity for that we're looking for descendants, we might get some more names and we'll get some more interest. Yes?
I noticed when I walked through the gravesite that a lot of the inscriptions on the tombs are very difficult to read. Many of them are covered in dirt and grime and just wear from years and some with like and stuff growing on. Is there a plan to clean those stones or how do you restore those?
Yeah, we have, well, again, we're not gonna restore them because apparently we're not supposed to do that. What we can do, we have that conservation report, it gives very detailed information about what to use to wash them. It has to be very gentle soap and water, basically, to clean them. It'll take lichen off and things like that. And I think we can get volunteers. We have to have them trained and watched, but that we can clean many of them, and then it'll make a difference. But apparently, it's a historic site, we're really not supposed to.
Is there a way to preserve the inscriptions so that you can read it more clearly? If you don't do it on the stone itself, is there a way to?
Well, we can hope to do that for a website.
So we have a bunch of photographs at Thomas Welsh Library that were taken in the 70s, some of the 50s, and on most of those, the inscriptions are a lot clearer. Also, the Daughters of the American Revolution went through our cemetery and wrote down names, dates, and inscriptions back in the 1930s. So we're still working on what we've got on the website, but ideally we'd like to do small biographies to everybody, and we will include those original inscriptions if we haven't trouble seeing them. But unfortunately, all the caustic methods people used to use to clean gravestones, actually, they eat away at the stone over time. So it's pretty much water and a soft brush. That's all you can use on them, yeah.
Gentle elbow grease.
And of course, we don't have a water source over there, so that complicates things.
We invite you all to come see it either on November 1st, help us plant, bring your trowel. These will not be deep holes because they're little holes and apparently squirrels don't like them, or rabbits will. We don't want to be planting a bunch of hors d'oeuvres out there for the squirrels. Yes?
Do you have a website and is the ground penetrating radar image on it?
We can, yeah. We have it, we're part of the St. James Leesburg.org website under About, and then it has cemetery history.
I don't think we put the photo yet for the.
No, we haven't put it on, we haven't put the
Yeah.
stories on there yet. We have a list of names that we know, descendants, and a brief history of it, but we're gonna be working to make that stronger.
Are you gonna put this presentation on the website so that it can be shared?
We certainly can.
Someone make a list.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do.
We had a bigger blow up of that final GPS image on the side, which is on the floor there, if anyone wants to scrutinize it.
Yeah, we had that out for the Leesburg Garden Festival. Pam brought it, she and her family put it up on the fence, and people stopped and looked at it. They really understood when they see that site map. So I think, right, we need to get it up on the website. Well, thank you, come visit, and we'll see you November 5th.
And do take time to go around and read some of the stories. And a few of our we didn't introduce our committee members that are in the room, but it is the three wonderful ladies here and myself. Tony Tomhorn, who is not here, our liaison to the Black History Committee, Jim Roberts, Bill, and then who else am I missing? And Art, who's in the back, our architect, Art.
And Sandy, our landscape designer, was
And
down
Sandy.
singing.
Yeah.
Question about budget, estimated budget.
We do, yes. And we
Doesn't
will,
sound like enough to do.
correct.
Do you have the budget breakdown?
Yes.
Is it also put on the website?
The budget changes, so I'm not sure we put it on the website. We would be glad to share it with you.
But we do have like a what the trees might cost the bench.
We have seven ballparks that we can share with the market. Thank you.
Thanks.